Hello everyone, this is Miravitsu, and in today's tutorial we'll be drafting our basic bodice for beginners. We'll be working with shoulder 16, bust 40 and waist 35. So this is my starting line, and I'll be working with a length of 24, and that is my full length, or you can use it as a hip line. So this is my zip allowance. We're going to be cutting the front and back together. So all of my horizontal measurement for the front will be starting from my zip allowance. So please note that. At this point, I'm just putting my bust point, my underbust, and my waistline. I realized that I will not be needing an underbust for this tutorial, but I just went ahead to impute the line anyway. So here I'm just putting in my shoulder measurement, which is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8, and I've marked it. And then I came down by 1 inches to create our shoulder slant. So I'll just go ahead and take my neck width, which is 3 inches, and then connect from that 3 inches to my shoulder slant. And then from the tip of my shoulder slant, I want to get my chest line. A simple method to get this is divide your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. So having divided my bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5, I got 8. So I'll just go ahead and roll it out. So I'll go ahead and impute my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10. So I'll go ahead and mark 10. And then I'll come to the chest line and roll out the chest line so I can impute the same bust measurement, 10 inches on the chest line. So I'll just make sure I'm at 10 inches and then replicate the same measurement on my chest line. And then I'll just go ahead, label it here, chest line, at this point, bust point, and here is my under bust. Even though I won't be needing this for this particular tutorial, but since we have it, I just went ahead to label it. Here's my waistline, and finally my full length. And then on my bust point, I have taken my measurement already, so I go ahead to mark my waistline and then impute replicate my bust point measurement on my hip line or full length. So remember I said we are cutting the back and the front together. So I went ahead to just fold in the zip allowance and then trace out my measurement to bring out the shape of our bodice. So I'll just find the midpoint of our armhole from the shoulder slant. So my armhole is 8 and the midpoint is 4. And on that 4, I'll go in by 0.7 inches. It's more than half, but it's not up to 1 inches. And then I'll connect my armhole from that line. Make sure it is going through the point. And then I now join it to the bust points line, as you can see. And then after that, I'll just go ahead and impute my neck depth, and I'm using 3 inches for my neck depth. Already we've marked out our neck width as 3 inches, so we're using 3 inches for our neck width, 3 inches for our neck depth. So I'll just roll it out so I can make my neckline. So I use my cuff to make my neckline, and then I want to mark out my dart. So I'll be marking out my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'll go all the way from my waistline to my bust line and mark 4 inches. So I could use this to create my dart. So I'll just connect the dots using a line and then go ahead to mark out my dart. On the waistline, I'll just go in by half an inch on both sides. And then from the bust point line, I'll just come down by 1 inches. That's going to be where our dart will be starting from. And from the hip line, I'll just go up by 2 inches like so and mark it. That's going to be where our dart will be ending. So I'll just go ahead to connect my dart from the 2 points. Remember, I'm passing through the waist dart. And then I want to get my bust dart. I just check from the armhole to the waistline what I got. Whatever I got 8 inches, and then I'll mark the midpoint. That's going to be where our bust point will be inserted. I'll just connect it to the apex of the dart. If you have come this far, please do well to like, share, and subscribe so you'll be seeing tutorials like this each time I post it. I'll just go ahead on that line and mark 1 inches downward. I want to start up a dart from that point, and then at the end I'll just mark half inches on both sides and connect together. I'll link them up to form a bust dart. So wherever you're watching this video from, if you're a beginner and you're interested to learn more, we have a WhatsApp school group just for beginners. Please send a DM to the number on the screen so you'll be added. So I'll just mark out our waist dart, and then here's our bust dart. Remember, we've taken half inches on the bust dart on both sides. So it's going to affect the length of our blouse. So I want to go back and impute that 1 inches on the length of the blouse. So I want to replace the 1 inches I've taken from the bust dart. So I'll just go ahead, mark 1 inches, and then link it up to the midpoint, like so. Like I said earlier, we're drafting both the front and the back bodies together. So here I'm imputing the back armhole. The first armhole we had there was for the front, and look how deep it is. Now just go ahead to impute the armhole, and the back armhole is more shallow. If you notice, I'm fitting my French curve in such that it won't be as deep as the first armhole. So I'll just go ahead and mark this armhole shallow because it is the back and it's going to be covering our back properly, unlike the front where we had to make it deep to accommodate our bust. At this point, I'm just going ahead to impute the back neckline. I'm sorry it went off camera. I didn't notice it was like this, but what you see me here doing is imputing the back neckline. Please feel free to join our WhatsApp group for practical illustrations and clarity. Always know that each time you create a dart, it gets to short the actual measurement. So remember, we have a waist dart here, and that is half inch on both sides, making it 1 inches. So it has short my actual measurement by 1 inch. I want to replace that 1 inch, and that's what you see me here doing. So I'll just mark out 1 inches. That's to add 1 inches to my actual measurement to replace what have been taken out, and then I'll connect it. So my actual measurement was 8.5 plus 1 inches is now 9.5. So if you observe carefully, you see that I'm still maintaining my bust measurement, and then I'll pass through the new waistline measurement, and then I'm still maintaining my full length measurement. So the only alteration we have here is the waistline. Now, because we are drafting the front and the back together, I just went ahead to reveal my zip allowance. I want to use my tracing wheel to trace out the back without having to draft out another back. So that's the essence of doubling the paper and using my tracing wheel. I will trace out the back, and then I will sketch it out with what I have traced out. That way I will have my back exactly like what I have here without having to draft it again. So that's the use of this tracing wheel. And then after I've done, since I've traced out my back, I'll just go ahead and separate the patterns so that I can have one for my front and one for my back. So this will serve as my front, and then this will serve as my back because I've traced it out. So since I've traced out my back, I'll go ahead and cut out my back away from my front because I won't be needing it anymore. So remember, at this point I added 1 inch for the dart I removed from the bust, so I'll still maintain it. I won't cut it out because when we join it, it's going to align with the back, although it's longer now. And then we're going to label this as our front. So since I've traced out my back, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to rule everything I've traced out. If you can look carefully, you'll see that the lines are visible here of what I've traced out. So using those traced lines as a guide, I'll just go ahead, use my marker to rule it out. And then I'll go ahead, label it. Here is my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my waistline, and my full length. So at this point, I want to eliminate my back buff. A lot of time, people make dresses and it doesn't sit well on the back. That's because the left is straight. So to achieve this, you have to go in by half an inch on the waistline so that it's going to sit well on the back. Then go ahead to connect it to the chest line and then down to the full length. So after doing that, since I want to use 1 inch as my zipper allowance, so I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch all the way down using my new zipper line. So notice at this point I'm maintaining my new line to mark my 1 inch. Even on the waistline, I'm using my new zipper line to mark my 1 inches. So I'll just go ahead to connect this line put together, and this is going to form our new zip line. You can see how curved it is at the waistline. That way, when anyone wears it, it's going to lap well on the back. So this place I just marked now is my new zipper line. So I'll go ahead to trim off any excesses. So you can see that zip is not straight, it is curved. So I'll go ahead to just trim everything and we are done. So here's the final look of our basic bodice, both the front pattern and the back pattern. Here is our front and here is our back. So in our next video, we'll be using this pattern to cut out on our fabric and we'll stitch together so you see what it looks like. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.